Do you know what it takes to become an Australian citizen? Let's see if you can answer this question. What is the official flower emblem of Australia? Welcome to a journey of discovery where we delve into the fascinating world of the Australian Citizenship Test. This examination is a vital step in the process of becoming an Australian citizen, and it requires a comprehensive understanding of Australian values. The test covers a broad range of topics, including government and law, history, culture, geography, and the values and responsibilities that define Australia. It's not just about knowing the facts and figures, but about understanding the spirit of Australia, the ethos that binds this diverse nation together. From the historical milestones that have shaped the nation, to the intricacies of its legal system, to the unique geographical features that define its landscape, the test is a comprehensive assessment of your knowledge of Australia. If you guessed the golden wattle, you're right. That's just a taste of what's to come. Now let's dive into some questions. Question 1. Who maintains peace and order in Australia? The answer is the police. They are responsible for ensuring that law and order are maintained, and they work to protect the rights and safety of all Australians. Moving on to question 2. What are the roles of the federal and state governments in Australia? The federal government is responsible for national and international matters, such as defence and foreign affairs. On the other hand, state governments handle matters within their own states, including education, health and transportation. Next, we have question 3. What is the concept of parliamentary democracy in Australia? Well, it's a system of government where the people elect representatives to Parliament to make laws. The leader of the party or coalition with the most support in the House of Representatives becomes the Prime Minister. Question 4. What is the highest court in Australia? The answer is the High Court of Australia. It's the ultimate court of appeal, and it has the authority to interpret the Constitution. And finally, question 5. What does the Australian Constitution do? The Constitution sets out the basic rules for the government in Australia. It establishes the powers of the Commonwealth and states, and outlines the structure of the federal parliament. So how did you do? These questions might seem challenging, but they are key to understanding the government and law in Australia. Remember, the police maintain peace and order. The federal and state governments have different roles. Parliamentary democracy is the system of government. The High Court is the highest court. And the Constitution sets out the basic rules for the government. Great job. If you knew that the police maintain peace and order in Australia, you're on the right track. Remember, understanding these fundamentals is not just about passing a test, it's about being an informed citizen, ready to contribute to and benefit from Australian society. Ready for more? Let's move on to Australian history and culture. Who was the first Prime Minister of Australia? If you're thinking Sir Edmund Barton, then you're absolutely right. Barton was sworn in as the Prime Minister of Australia in January 1901, right after the federation of the 6 separate British colonies into one nation. He played a major role in drafting the Australian Constitution and was a strong advocate for the Federation. Now, moving on, let's delve deep into the heart of Australian culture. Have you ever wondered about the significance of Anzac Day? It's a national day of remembrance in Australia and New Zealand that commemorates all those who served and died in all wars, conflicts and peacekeeping operations. The day was originally established to honour the members of the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps who served in the Gallipoli campaign in the First World War. Here's another piece of trivia for you. Can you guess the origin of the term Aussie? It's an informal term for an Australian. The term Aussie is a colloquialism that was used during World War I to refer to Australian soldiers. The term has since been adopted to refer to anything associated with Australia. Now, let's talk about the oldest surviving culture in the world. Do you know which one it is? If you said Aboriginal culture, you'd be correct. The Aboriginal culture of Australia is believed to be between 40,000 and 60,000 years old, and it's a vital part of the country's national identity. Finally, let's touch on Australia's national sport. What do you think it is? If you're thinking cricket, you're close. But the actual answer is Australian rules football, often simply called footy. It's a sport that's uniquely Australian and is followed passionately by millions across the country. Did you know that Sir Edmund Barton was Australia's first Prime Minister? Keep these facts in mind, they might just come up on your test. Let's explore Australia's geography now. What's the capital city of Australia? Give it a thought. You might be tempted to say Sydney or Melbourne, but it's actually Canberra. Yes, Canberra is the capital city of Australia, nestled in the southeastern part of the country. Now, let's move on to a bigger question, quite literally. Which is the largest state in Australia? It's a vast nation with sizable states. But there's one that stands out in terms of sheer size. Any guesses? Well, the answer is Western Australia. It's not only the largest state in Australia, but also one of the largest subnational entities in the world. Next up, we dive into the waters. What is the name of the sea to the west of Australia? You might be picturing the map of Australia in your mind right now. It's a sea that has seen many a ship sail, and it is known as the Indian Ocean. Yes, the Indian Ocean graces the western coast of Australia. Moving on, let's consider the heart of Australia. Do you know what the largest desert in Australia is called? It's a challenging environment, but also a place of stunning beauty. This desert is known as the Great Victoria Desert, spreading across South Australia and Western Australia. Finally, let's talk about the iconic Australian landmark, the Great Barrier Reef. Can you tell me in which state it is primarily located? It's a World Heritage Site and a natural wonder that needs no introduction. It's primarily located in Queensland. Yes, Queensland is home to the spectacular Great Barrier Reef. Well done if you knew that Canberra is the capital city of Australia. Just a few more questions to go. Our final segment covers Australian values and responsibilities. What is the Australian value derived from the phrase, a fair go? Let's dive into the heart of Australia, where the values of the country are reflected in the everyday lives of its people. We'll start with the quintessential Aussie phrase, a fair go. This phrase encapsulates the belief that everyone should have fair opportunities, regardless of their background. It's a value deeply rooted in Australian society, promoting inclusivity and fairness. So, in essence, a fair go is all about equality of opportunity. Moving on to our next question, why is voting important in Australia? Voting is a fundamental responsibility for Australian citizens. It's a way for people to have their say in how the country is run. It's a cornerstone of Australia's democracy, ensuring that the government is representative of the people's will. So, voting is crucial because it allows Australians to participate in decision-making at the highest level. Our third question is, what is the principle of equality in Australia? Australia prides itself on being a society where everyone is treated equally. This principle means that no matter who you are, where you're from, or what you believe in, you should be treated with the same respect and dignity as anyone else. It's a value that underpins the Australian way of life, promoting diversity and acceptance. Next up, what does it mean to be an Australian citizen? Being an Australian citizen means more than just living in Australia. It means embracing Australian values, respecting the rights and liberties of others, and actively participating in community life. It's about contributing to the society and making Australia a better place for everyone. Lastly, what is the significance of Australia Day? Australia Day is a national holiday that reflects on the nation's history, celebrates the present, and looks forward to the future. It's a day for all Australians to come together and celebrate their shared identity and values. And that's it. If you knew that a fair go means everyone should have fair opportunities, you've got a good grasp of Australian values. So how did you do? Whether you aced the quiz or learned something new, remember that understanding Australian values and culture is key to passing the citizenship test. We've covered a broad spectrum of topics today, peeling back the layers of Australian life, from government and law, through history and culture, to geography and values. Each of these areas play a crucial role in shaping the questions you'll face on the citizenship test. Remember, the objective of the test isn't just to assess your knowledge, but to ensure you understand and appreciate the essence of being an Australian. It's about embracing the values, the responsibilities, and the privileges that come with being a citizen of this great country. So, keep revisiting these topics. Keep questioning, keep learning. It's not just about passing a test, it's about becoming a part of the Australian community. Thanks for joining this quiz session. Keep practicing, and soon you'll be ready to take on the Australian Citizenship Test. Good luck.